Hello, everyone, and welcome to Master Your English podcast. I'm Lana, your host, and I'm so excited to have you here today. If you've ever felt nervous about speaking English, you are not alone. Many learners understand English, they can read it, they can write it, but when it comes to speaking, they freeze. Does that sound familiar? Maybe you hesitate because you're afraid of making mistakes. Maybe you worry that people won't understand you. Or maybe you just don't know where to start. Well, today's episode is all about solving that problem. I'm going to give you practical steps that will help you start speaking English with confidence, no matter what your current level is. These are real strategies that have helped many learners, and I know they will help you too. So get comfortable, grab a notebook if you like, and let's dive in. 1. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Many English learners hesitate to speak because they believe they need to reach a certain level of fluency before they start. They think, I'll start speaking when I'm ready. However, this mindset often leads to procrastination and delays progress. The truth is, you will never feel completely ready because learning a language is a continuous process. No matter how much vocabulary you memorize or how many grammar rules you study, there will always be new words, phrases, and expressions to learn. Fluency is not a destination, it is a journey. Many learners set unrealistic goals, such as needing to know 1,000 words before speaking, understanding every English accent perfectly, or forming flawless sentences before having a conversation. But waiting for the perfect moment is like waiting for the ocean to be completely still before jumping in. It will never happen. Think about how people learn to swim. You can read books about swimming, watch videos of professional swimmers, and even memorize all the techniques. But if you never step into the water, you will never learn to swim. The same principle applies to learning English. You can study for years, but if you never practice speaking, your spoken English skills will not improve. One of the biggest fears that hold learners back is the fear of making mistakes. But making mistakes is a normal and necessary part of learning any new skill. In fact, mistakes help you identify areas for improvement, learn from real experiences, and gain confidence through practice. Even native English speakers make mistakes. The key is to embrace mistakes and view them as stepping stones to progress. Instead of saying, I'm not ready, try saying, I am learning and I will improve by speaking. This shift in mindset will make a huge difference in your progress. Start with small steps. Speak to yourself in English, join a language group or an online community, and try speaking English with a friend or a tutor. The sooner you start speaking, the faster you will improve. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Create it. 2. Speak out loud, even when you're alone. One of the simplest and most effective ways to start speaking English is by talking to yourself out loud. While it may feel unusual at first, this technique helps you develop confidence, improve pronunciation, and become more comfortable forming sentences. Many learners hesitate to speak because they are afraid of making mistakes in front of others. However, when you practice alone, you remove that pressure and can focus entirely on improving your speaking skills. Speaking out loud helps train your brain to think in English and form sentences more naturally. When you read silently or listen to English, you absorb information passively. But when you speak, you actively produce the language, which strengthens your ability to recall words and construct sentences. The more you practice speaking, the more automatic it becomes. A great way to start is by describing your actions in English as you go about your day. For example, if you're preparing a meal, you can say, I'm chopping vegetables. Now I'm cooking the rice. The food smells delicious. If you are getting ready in the morning, you can say, I am brushing my teeth. Now I am putting on my shoes. I am ready to leave for work. By doing this, you practice everyday vocabulary and train your brain to think in English naturally. Another useful method is to express your thoughts out loud. If you see something interesting, describe it in English. If you have an idea, try explaining it as if you were talking to a friend. You can even pretend to have a conversation, asking and answering questions as if you were speaking with someone else. This helps improve fluency and prepares you for real conversations. At first, you might feel awkward speaking to yourself, but over time it will become more comfortable. The goal is to make English a normal part of your daily routine. By speaking out loud regularly, you will gain confidence and be better prepared for real conversations with others. 3. Find a speaking partner. Practicing alone is beneficial, but speaking with someone else takes your learning to the next level. Interacting with a real person forces you to think faster, respond naturally, and build confidence in real conversations. It doesn't have to be a native speaker, even practicing with another English learner is highly effective. The key is to engage in regular conversations and get comfortable expressing yourself in English. You can start with simple questions like, "How was your day?" or "What are your plans for the weekend?" to keep the conversation going. The more you practice, the easier it becomes, and over time, speaking English will feel more natural. Mistakes are a normal part of the learning process. Instead of worrying about them, focus on improving with each conversation. The more you speak, the better you will become. 4. Use the shadowing technique. One of the most effective ways to improve your speaking skills is through a technique called shadowing, which involves listening to a native speaker and immediately repeating what they say. This method helps you develop better pronunciation, understand the natural flow of English, and train your brain to think in the language. You can practice by watching short video clips, listening to podcasts, or playing audio lessons. Focus on mimicking the speaker's pronunciation, tone, and rhythm as closely as possible. Start with short sentences and gradually move on to longer conversations. The more you practice, the more natural and confident your speech will become. 5. Learn useful phrases instead of single words. A common mistake many English learners make is focusing on memorizing individual words instead of learning useful phrases. While knowing vocabulary is important, it's much more effective to learn words in context. For example, instead of just memorizing the word hungry, learn a natural phrase like, "I'm starving. Let's grab a bite." Similarly, instead of just learning tired, practice saying, "I'm exhausted. I need to take a break." When you learn full phrases, speaking becomes easier because you don't have to pause and think about grammar or word order. You already know how the sentence should sound. This approach helps you speak more fluently and naturally. A good way to practice is by writing down 5 new phrases each week and making an effort to use them in conversations. Over time, this habit will expand your ability to express yourself more confidently in English. 6. Don't be afraid of mistakes. One of the main reasons people hesitate to speak English is the fear of making mistakes. However, the truth is that mistakes are an essential part of the learning process. If you think about how children learn their first language, it becomes clear that they don't start speaking perfectly. They make countless mistakes, but they continue practicing and trying, and over time, they improve. This natural progression is the same when learning a second language like English. Each mistake you make is actually a step forward in your journey to fluency. It's through mistakes that you identify areas for improvement, which helps you grow and refine your skills. So rather than letting the fear of making errors hold you back, focus on the goal of communication. Don't worry about being perfect. The more you practice, the more confident you'll become, and over time, your mistakes will become fewer and less significant. Embrace the learning process, and you'll find that speaking English gets easier. 7. Make English a part of your daily life. If you want to improve your speaking skills, you need to surround yourself with English every day. One effective way to do this is by changing the language settings on your phone to English. This small change will ensure that you are interacting with the language throughout your day, from reading notifications to navigating through apps. Another simple method is to listen to English podcasts while you're driving or exercising. This allows you to familiarize yourself with the flow of natural conversations and different accents without needing to set aside extra time for practice. Watching TV shows and movies in English with subtitles is another great technique. By doing this, you'll not only hear how native speakers pronounce words, but you'll also improve your understanding of slang and expressions commonly used in everyday conversations. Additionally, reading simple English books or news articles and saying the sentences out loud can help reinforce vocabulary and sentence structures. This method encourages you to practice speaking while reading, further developing your confidence and speaking ability. The more you expose yourself to English through these activities, the more natural speaking the language will feel, allowing you to express yourself more freely. The more English you hear and use, the easier it will be to speak naturally. Speaking English is a skill, and like any skill, it gets better with practice. The most important thing is to take action and use English as much as possible. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you found this helpful, don't forget to subscribe, share with a friend, and leave a comment. I can't wait to dive into more tips and advice with you in the next episode. Keep learning, keep growing, and I'll catch you next time.